Hello, everyone. A very good day to all of you. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. I wish good health and happiness to you and your family. Welcome to Manage Engine webinar. So before I dive into today's session, I would like to make a quick audio video check just to make sure are you able to hear me okay and are you able to see my screen. So please make use of the chat window and just put in your comments if you could hear me okay and are you able to see my screen. So maybe a thumbs up or a yes, no. All right. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Patrick. All right, all right. Thank you so much for that. So my name is Sujith Emmanuel, and I am a product consultant with Manage Engine. So as a product consultant, I do two things. One, I actively participate and as well as host webinars, seminars, workshops on 8360 solutions, on 80 perspective solution. And secondly, I do product implementation in customers' environment. So where I get the exposure to work with administrators, understanding their requirements in terms of their infrastructure management from a security standpoint as well as from governance. All right. So with that little experience, I've prepared this deck for you. And so today we're going to talk about the role of IAM in securing your hybrid IT environment. All right. And as I take this session, in case if you have any questions, so please make use of the chat, the Q&A box, which is here on the Zoom. So you can use this box, Q&A box, to shoot in all your queries, and I would be more than happy to answer it for you. Also, I am working from home today. In case if there is any technical glitch hearing me or in case the session gets interrupted, do not worry. I will have the recording sent to your registered email address. All right. So I thank each and every one of you who's taken your time of day to be here with us. Thank you. It means a lot. All right. So quickly diving into today's session. So the next 45 to 60 minutes, what I would like to show you here is the role of IAM. So this is going to be the agenda for today. So where I'm going to run few reports, okay, in terms of identifying from a security standpoint. Okay, so before I speak about the agenda or coming back to the topic, so we know that it's been more than 20 years, 20 plus years since Active Directory has been launched, and we are still talking about securing our Active Directory. Why? Okay, as I speak, maybe you can also do a quick Google search, or there are a lot of surveys. I don't want to get into that. So maybe like you can do a Google search saying what are the core security risks managing your on-prem Active Directory. Some of the things that were listed here is like too many administrators in my Active Directory, not knowing who are the users part of my security group, weak password, incorrect share permissions of files and photo permissions are incorrectly being management. So I can keep listing it. There are a lot of things or a lot of loopholes in terms of Active Directory management or securing our Active Directory. So we're going to concentrate on that perspective in today's session. So because most of us are currently living with a hybrid environment. So if I would take a survey right now, so how many of you are currently using on-prem AD and Microsoft 365? The majority would be you guys. Yes, like there are very less who are still sticking with the on-prem Exchange version, and they're slowly in the process of moving to the M365 with an amount of features that we have on the M365. And lately, or in a forecasted way, we're going to move completely into the cloud-based. Right. So let's keep ourselves forecasted and let's all be technologically driven on this. Okay. So the agenda for today's session. So I would like to show you, or I would like to run few queries, insightful queries, understanding your infrastructure from an administrative perspective. Okay, knowing few reports, understanding the infrastructure, I mean like not knowing who the users part of my security groups. Is there any inactive users lying down in my environment? Is there any unused groups, or like I want to know who are the users who are part of my top level groups? Yes, I'm going to talk about that. Secondly, streamlining the Active Directory management. So when I speak about IAM has 4 cores inside that. And one of the important core is user lifecycle management. So now we just don't stick with the on-prem AD. We have, as I told you, we are living in a hybrid environment. We have on-prem AD, we have M365, we have SharePoint, we have OneDrive. So still on-prem Active, still our AD account is still used as a core authentication platform for many applications, right? So you would agree with me on that part. Now, streamlining the information, meaning like provisioning these accounts in these platforms, okay, in a standardized manner, or I would say bringing in a uniformity management right from user provisioning still deprovisioning on all your platforms. I'm not going to stick only with on-prem AD. I'm going to talk about provisioning an account on your on-prem AD, provisioning your mailbox on Exchange on-premise, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, predefining the attribute values based on your organization policy. So that's what we're going to deal today. And also, thirdly, I'm going to talk about the delegation. So I, as an administrator, strongly believe delegation has to be non-intrusive. Okay. So just what do you mean by non-intrusive? You would have already got the picture. Yes, without elevating the privileges for my non-administrative users, I still want them to do their day-to-day routine tasks. Can I do this using my native methodology? Answer is a big, bold no. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Without elevating your user privilege on the Active Directory, you can still make your non-administrative users do their day-to-day Active Directory tasks, and also they are domain authenticated to perform all these tasks. All right. And lastly, so I want to keep the best for the last. So we're going to talk about backup and recovery of your Active Directory objects. So everybody has seen our part in terms of accidental modification and accidental deletion, right? You would agree with me in that. So when there is an accidental modification, when there is an accidental deletion in the environment, so in case if I am sticking with my native solution, all right, I cannot know what is inside that backup. Okay, I know there's a backup which has been taken in my environment. I want to retrieve what is inside that backup so that I want, because when there was, let's say, like you're performing a disaster recovery activity, and then like maybe like there are few accounts which got modified or accidentally modified, then you want to know which are those accounts that got modified on a particular date. Do we have an option to review so that I can restore the previous best version of that particular object? Answer is no. So that's what we're going to see today in terms of backup and recovery of AD objects. And if you ask me, so don't we have a nice set of tool set which has been given by Microsoft to do all the tasks which you've been saying? Answer is yes. We have PowerShell to retrieve any information from Active Directory. We have Active Directory users in computer to perform all our day-to-day activities. And we have the Office 365 admin centers to manage our mailboxes, and Skype for Business, Exchange Management Console, Event Viewer tracking all the changes, what changes happening in my environment captured on the Event Viewer. And then we have the recycle bin. Any objects being deleted can be recycled from the. Now, do I have the option to like restore all the attributes related to the environment? Okay, there are good side of the native tool. I'm not against it, but let's also talk about the challenges using the native tool. If I would give you a very simple example, let's say I want to create 10 accounts in bulk using the help of PowerShell. Okay, I wrote a PowerShell script to create accounts in bulk, and let's say there were 9 users who got successfully created, and then it throws me the red error. Okay, now for me to identify what went wrong, why did that account not got created? Because everything remained the same for the other 9 users. What went wrong for this particular user? So for me to analyze, to narrow down what went wrong, referring to a KB article, it is definitely time consuming for me to identify the information and then retrieve or like revert back to its action. All right. So looking at all these challenges with regards to native tool and to organize the AD. So 15 years ago, we came up with a solution called as AD Manager Plus. Then it was a tool just to manage your Active Directory. Right now, AD Manager Plus is a centralized repository where you can manage and report on your on-prem Active Directory, Microsoft 365, Exchange on-premise, Google Workspace, file server management, and GPO management. All these things can be managed from a single pane of glass. I repeat, all these actions can be managed from a single pane of glass. Okay, so this is the all new AD Manager Plus. So during the session, I'll be trying to switch between the AD Manager Plus, the console that I'm going to show you here. And in case if you are looking at AD Manager Plus for the very first time, or you are in search of a tool that could manage your infrastructure, as I told you, AD Manager Plus is a centralized repository managing your on-prem AD, Exchange on-premise, M365 mailbox, Google Workspace. Okay, file server management, GPO management, all these can be managed from a single pane of glass. You no more have to toggle between multiple windows. Along with this, we are also offering you the backup and recovery of your Active Directory objects. All right, so I'm going to quickly take you here to the AD Manager Plus. So this is the all new AD Manager Plus 71113. That's the latest build. In case if there's anyone of you who currently are licensed user and you're seeing a different view, so I would request you to upgrade your product to the latest build to benefit all the latest features that we have released in. And if you are looking at AD Manager Plus for the very first time, so just click on, just open up your browser and open up a tab and just type in demo.admanagerplus.com. Okay, and then just log in as an administrator. Okay, so that you would get to have the same look and feel that I'm trying to show to you here. So you can play with the demo site. So in case if you need the link, maybe I'll just give it to you on the chat box. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm just gonna put this link on the chat box. Okay, so the link is on the chat box, so you can just log in as an administrator. Okay, so coming with our first agenda, triggering some insightful queries for every AD infrastructure. From a security standpoint, I would like to run few reports to show that. I would like to show you my lab setup here. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to bring in my lab setup here. Okay, so this is my 2016 standard box. So now here I have a user inside my service desk technician, and he is Robin. Okay, so for this specific user, Robin, I have given him access to reset password and unlock account. So when it comes to delegation native Active Directory, so we go with delegation of control. Yes, so with the same delegation of control, I have two groups here, reset password and unlock account. So anybody who's part of the reset password and unlock account, so they can reset password and unlock account using the native Active Directory. And the permission has been set based on group based. So I'm just going to go into the properties and I'm going to show that to you here. Okay, so yes. Now, if you could see the member of Robin, is like he's part of domain users, reset password, unlock account, and VPN groups. So as an administrator, I always try to monitor all the changes being done by each of my technician. And to my shock, I found Robin has disabled two users and deleted one of them. Okay. Now, to my shock, I want to know how did Robin got the privilege to delete an account or disable an account. I know Robin belongs to a service desk team. All that he has, all the access that he can do or his day-to-day task is to reset password and unlock account. How can he disable or delete an account? The first thing that I would run to is obviously my native tool, and then what I will do is I'll check for the permission in case if we got any elevated privileges. I'm going to click on property and I'm going to the member of tab, and I see everything is okay here. Okay, it's part of domain users, reset password, unlock account. Since we're working from home, we're giving him access to a gateway access, which is VPN group. Everything is set. So then now how did he got the privilege to reset password and unlock account? Okay, now let me take you back here to AD Manager Plus. So I have a dedicated report with me. You would have already found it. Yes, I'm talking about the nested group membership. So I have a group with me here called, so I've already selected Robin, and when I click on generate, now I can find that Robin is part of 9 groups. Now, what I see from the native tool, okay, now if you could see, so here from the native tool, he is just part of 4 groups. But now if I would run the same report for Robin from AD Manager Plus, I could find he is part of 9 groups. So totally an additional of 5 groups that he is part of. So how did he got the privilege to delete or disable an account? Now let's try to investigate that here. So now I have a user here, a group called VPN. Now this VPN group is part of domain admins and domain controllers. Maybe it could have been an accidental modification done on the VPN group. But the point here is like, I want to make sure that who are the users part of my top level group, which will lead access to a domain controller. Okay, from a security standpoint, now I have a direct report here that I generated, and I could find like how did Robin got the privilege to delete or disable an account. Now from here, I can revoke the privileges and I can do it. But from a security standpoint, you always wanted to know who are the users, or who are the computers, who are the groups part of your top level group that will lead to access to a domain controller, you can always have a watch of it by with the help of this report. So we have a report with us called as detailed group members report. I'm going to click on this plus icon, and here you can just pick and choose all your top level groups here. Okay, so I'm just going to search, select few reports here, and I'm going to click on OK. Now, once I have my groups selected here, now I can choose, or I can select the objects that I would like to fetch, meaning I want to know, is there any users part of my top level group? Is there any groups part of my top level group? Is there any computers part of my top level group? Or is there any contacts part of my top level group? Now, if I would generate this information, this will give me a consolidated information, the users, groups, computers, and contacts. And this very same report that I'm trying to show to you, you can also schedule this report and have it sent to your registered email address. In terms of setting up this, scheduling this report, you can have your own frequency set there. All right. So these reports can be exported. You can schedule these reports, and also from the reports that you generate, you can also perform a management action. So here I have a user called Robin who belongs to a service desk technician, is part of my top level group. Okay, so this way you can identify, or like identify, is there any users who are the users part of your top level group or your security groups. From another point here, you want to know who are the inactive users lying down in your environment. Okay, so one of the mundane tasks for every administrator is to identify the inactive users for last 90 days or 180 days. And once you identify these users, we do a set of tasks. Like meaning the first thing is we would like to disable their account. In case if my account is like in case if the accounts are like staying inactive, and we know that like if my AD account is compromised, so I use the same AD account to log into my mailbox. I use the same account to log into my SharePoint and OneDrive, right? So now as an organization, we have to pay a fortune to retrieve all those data that we have lost. So I don't want you to put into that risk. So from a security standpoint, you want to know who are the users, who are the inactive users lying down in your environment. Is there any inactive computers lying down in your environment? Is there any groups without members? Okay, so you can just run these reports and identify. Another important report that I would like to show you here is like in terms of password, you want to know who are the users with password never expire has been set, because usually this flag is always set for service accounts, right? Like in case or an accidentally, like in case if there is a domain user who for whom like the user with password never expire has been set. So from here itself, you can go ahead and do a disable action. All right. So there are almost 150 plus of predefined reports here on under the AD Manager Plus. So anything that you would like to retrieve from your Active Directory, retrieve from your Microsoft 365, retrieve from your Exchange, we give you the in-time information from a security standpoint. Also, you can create your own custom report, have your own column fields populated, and you can generate these report, export the report to a CSV, PDF, Excel, HTML format, and you can also schedule these report and send to your registered email address. All right. So that's with the reporting part here. So I'm just going to minimize this here. All right. So we got the solution for the nested group report. Secondly, I'm going to talk about the effectual management of objects. So when it comes to managing our AD objects, as I told you, every Active Directory object goes through 3 phases. Maybe taking an example, if a user onboards in the organization, so we go ahead and provision his account in the Active Directory, create a mailbox for him in M365 or Exchange on-premise or Google Workspace. Okay, and the first phase of the object is creation, and secondly, now when we try to modify the user, like we try to reset their password, unlock their account, give them access to a particular group. All right. So the second phase of an object is modification. Now, when the user leaves the organization, whatever privileges that was holded by him in the organization would be deleted or deprovisioned. So AD Manager Plus is a solution right from user provisioning till deprovisioning can be accomplished, where you can bring in a standardization, all right, or bringing in a uniformity management just to make sure that we adhere to your organization security policy. Okay, so if you ask me like how am I going to accomplish this, so we have it templates. So here under the management tab, user creation templates. So you, with the help of user creation templates, you can achieve a 360-degree user provisioning. All right. So I'm going to show you a simple task here. So what I'm going to show you is like, I'm going to create an account for you guys. Okay. All right. I'm just going to pick up the template, which I have already created. So now, okay, created. So first name, last name, done. I'm going to go into the contact. Let's say if this user is a manager and belongs to a finance department, that's all. And then I'm just going to click on create. Okay. So you would have seen I just gave the first name, last name, the department the user belongs to, and the title. Now on the backend, with the help of this very same template, I can have my accounts provisioned on my Active Directory. Okay, I can have my mailbox created on my Microsoft 365. Okay, and predefine the attribute values based on my organization policy. So now, if there is a health check that is happening in your organization where you would like to pick up two users from a similar OU, okay, there were a few errors that got occurred. Okay, just leave this here. Now, let me show you the layout of the template. User creation templates, create new template. Okay, so this is the complete layout of the template here. So you have Active Directory, you have Microsoft 365, you have Exchange on-premise. So I have not integrated Google Workspace. Once I do an integration, just next to Microsoft 365, you will have a Google Workspace tab added next to it. All right. So there are three advantages that you get from this template, like I showed you earlier. So with the help of templates, with few clicks, you can have your accounts provisioned on your Active Directory. No more multiple manual entries for you to create the accounts in different platforms or toggling between multiple windows. Just use of this single template, you can provision the accounts seamlessly. Okay, I'm going to show that to you. There are three advantages that you get from this template. The first advantage is predefining the attribute values based on your organization policy. So now if you could look closely here under the logon name, pre-Windows logon name, you could say same as logon name. So these are nothing but naming conventions. So every organization has their own unique naming convention. So you can create your own naming format and you can apply here on the template. So just by providing the first name, middle name, and the last name, these informations will get pre-populated. You don't have to manually type in. Okay, or any attribute like your web page, you want to like make that default for all the users who are getting provision, very well you can do it. And I know this would be a very common question that I would usually get. Okay, Sujith, so when it comes to provisioning accounts, okay, or like with the help of templates, should I create a template for each department or each designation or a title? No, you don't have to do that. I'm going to show that to you. Like with using this one single template, you can have your accounts provisioned across your organization. You don't have to create a template based on a designation or a title. All right. And secondly, another important attribute for you to provision an account is password. Okay, so the tool in-house gives you the option to generate a random password for you. So also you can configure its password complexity based on the domain password policy. Or if you feel like I want to go by the traditional way, I would like to type in a password. So you can go ahead and key in the password, meaning like you can default a password here. So whenever an account is being created, it will use the password which is up here on this particular template. All right. And now the general account and contact tab is pretty much similar what you see on the Active Directory. The only advantage that you get here is like you can predefine this information. So that will help you not to do multiple manual entries when it comes to provisioning accounts. All right. And now if you want to create mailbox in Microsoft 365, so here I have the option enabled, create the mailbox in Microsoft 365. But when it comes to assigning license, in case if you have a set of condition, okay, now the license has to be assigned based on a particular condition, meaning if the user belongs to a particular title or has or a particular department and a title, then I would like to assign a particular license, Office 365 license for this user, as well as I would like to assign the group membership for this user on the M365. So if you ask me, is there a way that I can achieve it? Answer is yes, and I'm going to show that to you in a bit. So you can predefine very much in terms of like on-prem Active Directory, Exchange on-premise, or Microsoft 365. And the second advantage here is like you have a complete layout of the template. Now, when you associate this template or delegate this task to your HR or to your L1 team, if you feel like I don't want them to have a complete layout, I don't want them to have a complete view, I would like to have them a restricted view. So you can do a complete customization on this template. Maybe you can change the look and feel of this template. And how do you achieve it is with the help of enable drag and drop. So having this option enabled, you can customize each attribute that is up here and each tab. Let's say if my current environment is on-prem AD and Microsoft 365, then I don't want the Exchange tab to be seen. You can just directly go ahead and delete this tab. Okay. Likewise, if my, as I told you, my current environment is Microsoft 365 and whatever attributes that I've predefined here are sensitive information. If you feel like I don't want my technicians to play around or make any changes to the Microsoft 365 attribute, is there a way, can we bring in a restriction? Yes, we can bring in a restriction in two ways. One, you can make all these attributes as read format or read only format so that they cannot make any changes to it. Secondly, I can make this entire tab as silently active. So just enabling this option, so the entire tab will go to a grayed out state, meaning it is silently active, but for the technician, the Microsoft 365 tab will not be visible. Okay, again, using the templates, we have been provisioning the accounts in my Active Directory or Microsoft 365. So if you ask me, do we have an option to enable a duplicate check to see if there's an account already there in my domain level or on my forest level? Yes. So you can enable the duplicate check in some of your unique attributes like username, like user principal name, some account name, or email address. So I'm just going to enable it here on my logon name, edit, check for duplicates. All right. And then I'm going to set it as domain level or a forest level. And in case if there is a duplicate found, so we give you two options here. Let's say your current, the current way of user provisioning is like first name dot last name at domain.com. So John Smith, so the current user would have been created as John Smith at domain.com. What if there is another John Smith who joins in your organization? You can set another naming format so that the account would be created using the same. And the second option that we offer you is like you can add a suffix to the username. So John Smith, if there is another John Smith who's joining in your organization, he's going to become John Smith 01 at domain.com. All right. So far we saw about the customization here on the template. And now let's say like if I'm going to assign this template to my HR, so I don't expect my HR to be technically sound. In that case, I want to make few of the attribute here as mandatory attributes. So without filling the information, I don't want the account to be provisioned. Okay, let's say I want to make employee ID as a mandatory attribute. So all that I will do is click on edit, make it mandatory. The same thing, if I want to do it on my native, I have to extend my schema to achieve the same process. All right. So this is the simplest way. So or if you feel like I want to delete all the tabs that are here, is there a way can I create a customized tab and I'll have my own attributes that's been should be up on this form, and I would like to associate this template to my HR or to my services technician? Yes. So you have the complete customization of the template based on your organization requirement. You can play with it. All right. And lastly, we have the creation rules. So now this would answer the question, okay, how will this template can create the account across my organization? Okay. So we have something here called creation rule, or you can call it as condition based action. So here I'm going to create a new rule here and add a condition. And the first condition that I'm going to set here is, okay, if the department is finance, and I'm going to set another condition here, make it as an and then I'm going to set it here as if the title is manager. Okay, so this is my condition. So if the user department is finance and the title is manager, Then I can set my assigning values. The first value that I'm going to set is, so since the user belongs to the finance or finance department, I want the user to be part of the finance OU. I've been select that here. Okay, now the user is part of the finance OU. Secondly, now the user belongs to a finance department and he or she is a manager. I want these users to have access to certain groups. So now I can just click on add groups and predefine the groups that they should have access to. I'm just going to randomly pick few groups here. So you can set the groups based on the organization need. All right. Now, if I say I want to set who's supposed to be the user's manager, I can predefine the user's manager. Okay, done. If I want to set who, the Office 365 license based on the department and designation, and this is how you do it. You're going to assign the Office 365 license, done. Or if you want to assign the Office 365 groups. So you have a lot of things that is here on the drop down box, which will cover under the use under the account and contact tab. So you can predefine those info here as the assigning values. So meaning when you try to provision account and if the department is finance and title is manager, these informations will get pre-populated. You don't have to manually punch in this information. Likewise, you can create any number of rules, okay? Like how I created a department is finance, like you can create department is IT and based on a title like senior manager or analyst, and then you can just once you predefine it here using this very same template. I'm just gonna name it as demo here. And now if I'm going to click on save, and then I'm going to use this very same template to provision account. Okay, demo now. Okay. Now I'm going to put my first name, last name. You can see the other information is getting pre-populated here. I'll go to the contact tab. Let's say I'm going to set it as the user is a manager and belongs to a finance team. Automatically, the all other information like the manager field, if I would go to the contact, the group information would have got updated for me. The license would have got assigned for me. Now, if I would scroll down from the default users OU, I would have created, I mean, like I would have been part of the finance OU. So this is just a sample. You can also create a customized template, something like this, because as I told you, with few clicks, you can have your accounts provisioned on your AD as well as on your Microsoft 365. Now, if you could look here as this template, all that I gave is first name, last name, finance, and manager. Isn't it easier? Okay, so now using this very same template, because template is the baseline for us in terms of provisioning accounts in multiple platforms. Now using this same template, okay, you can also manually create accounts, okay, single user creation or bulk user creation with the help of a CSV file, as well as you can enable an automation to provision the accounts. So that is what I would like to show you here. So template is the baseline for us to provision account, and now AD Manager Plus can be integrated with the business application. Like if it is like ITSM tools, we can be integrated with Service Desk, ServiceNow, Zendesk. AD Cell Service Plus can be integrated with your HRMS software like Altipro, Bamboo HR, Zoho People, Workday. Okay, and also do not worry in case if your HRMS software is not getting listed here. Most of the HRMS application which is in the market are based out of MS SQL DB or on Oracle DB. So if you know which DB your HRMS software is being used, so now AD Manager Plus can be integrated directly with the database. Okay, and it can read the information from your database and act as a source, and you can set your frequency. When would you like to run this automation? Okay, and the accounts are going to get provisioned based on the template. So template, again, I said, is the baseline for us. Once you build a template based on your organization policy, then you are all set. Let that be accounts being created by your service desk team or automating your user creation from with the help from the HRMS software or from a CSV file, we can do it. And now that you have the user provisioning piece, so this is the cycle that we follow any US in terms of like user provisioning or bringing in an automation module here, let that be a CSV file or a HRMS software. So we go into Active Directory and we provision account in different platforms, like I showed you with the help of templates. Okay, So with the ITSM solution, so if you have AD Manager Plus, if you have Service Desk Plus in your organization, once AD Manager Plus has been integrated with your Service Desk Plus, so you can download AD Manager Plus from the store, and post that you will get this very same view. So from your Service Desk Plus itself, you can provision your accounts, or like your day-to-day tasks like enabling account, disabling an account, add a user to a group, remove a user from a group, can be done right from here. Okay, so moving on with our next topic. Okay, delegation. So this, I would say, this is one of the core selling feature of AD Manager Plus, because we have a delegation model that is completely non-intrusive. You don't have to elevate a user's privilege on the Active Directory for them to do their day-to-day Active Directory task. Okay, no more you have to do that. And how am I going to achieve that is with the help of this delegation model here. So the first advantage that we get here is like, so I'll answer your question. Okay, how am I going to achieve without elevating a user privilege in the Active Directory? How will the technicians do their, or my non-administrative users do their day-to-day tasks? I'm going to answer that in a bit. So to start off with, the first advantage that we have here on AD Manager Plus under the delegation model is we have role-based delegation. So you can pick and choose the role that you would like to associate for this user. Let's say I'm going to create a role called L1 technicians. Okay, so this is just a sample. So you can create the roles based on your need. So now what I want the L1 technician to do here using AD Manager Plus is create single user, okay, reset password, and unlock account. Apart from these three actions, I don't want my technician to do any other task. So now once I create this role and associate role to the technician, so when the technician logs into AD Manager Plus, all that the technician could see is create, reset, and unlock account. Likewise, for an L2 technician or an L3 technician, you want to like increase the roles for them. So this is how you pick and choose the roles for them. So you don't have a granular structure on the native tool to associate a certain or a specific roles that you would like to associate for the user. If you see from the effective access on the native Active Directory, apart from the defined role, what has been set for the user, the technician will have even more elevated privileges. So that is what we want to stop. Okay, so now with the help of this role-based delegation, so the role is being saved. I'm going to get back here into the technician. Okay, and here I can click on add new technician. Okay, and now here I'm going to pick up the users. Maybe I'm just going to pick up one user here. Okay, I have a user here called Nova. I'm going to pick up this user here, click on OK, and then I'm going to select the role called L1 technician, and then the first restriction that you set here is like, in case if you want the user to have access to all the OUs, you can leave it as it is. In case if you want the users to have access only to a particular OUs, you can uncheck the OUs for which the technician should not have access to. All right, so this is the first level of restriction, and then comes our important point. So impersonate as an admin. Why do I enable this option called impersonate as an admin? Now I'll be answering your question, how does AD Manager Plus follow the non-intrusive model? So in terms of configuration of AD Manager Plus, it's pretty straightforward. So under the domain setting, we will have a service account configured based on a least privilege model. Okay, so we are not offering you, we are not advising you to configure a domain admin account there. We also believe in least privilege model. So we have a least privilege model. Maybe like if you want, I can give it to you over email, or you can just, it's also available on the internet. You can search for the least privilege for AD Manager Plus service account configuration. So you can create a service account based on the least privilege model and have that account configured here. All right. Once the service account has been configured here, now any transaction which is done by my technician, okay, which will be impersonated as that service account, and it'll make all the changes on my Active Directory. I know Nova Zach is a domain user, and now when Nova Zach logs into AD Manager Plus, he's going to be domain authenticated, okay, and after he domain authenticated, like I have set a role for him as to create account and reset password and unlock account. So those are the three things that Nova can actually do. All right, and once he does those actions, okay, it is not Nova's account which is making those changes, it is the service account which is inside my domain setting which is making all those changes here. Okay, now if you could ask me, okay, So from if I would see from a security perspective, or if I would go to my event viewer on my domain controller, I could see the service account which is configured inside my domain setting, which is making all those changes. Right? How will I identify what are the changes done by Nova? Do I have an option? Yes, we have something here called as audit report, where we track all the changes done by each of your technicians. And this report that you see here can also be scheduled and sent to your registered email address. Also, you can manage its archive, meaning you can keep it as long as you want. Okay, so the delegation model which we offer you here is like we do a role-based delegation. In terms of restriction, what I showed you was like OU level restriction. Apart from OU level restriction, we also additionally offer you like group-based restriction in case if you have multiple domains, you're managing multiple domains, and each of the domains you would like to have a different set of roles. Very well, you can just you can create the roles and you can assign the role to the technician. In case if you want to manage the file servers for your L2 or your L3 technicians, okay, from this very same place, you can associate the file servers for which they should have access to. And lastly, if you are associating them to like assign license along during the user provisioning or in terms of management, so you can predefine the license for which, or like you can predefine access for the license which they can assign or manage using AD Manager Plus. Okay, so that is with the delegation piece here that I would like to show you here. You can set your own roles, and once the roles been set, again, so no permissions have been like I would say the user permissions are completely untouched. Okay, so you have a super admin, you have an OU admin, help desk. So categorize them however you like to, and in the middleman it is the AD Manager Plus and the service account which is configured here, which is going to contact the Active Directory domain controller, and it's going to do the transaction for you. All right, and also we keep track of all the changes done by each of your technician, and you can manage its archive and you can keep it as long as you want. Coming to the final topic of the day, data backup. So I would like to keep the best for the last. So now, as I was speaking earlier, whenever there is an accidental modification or if there is an accidental deletion that happens in your environment, so we always run to recycle bin. Let's say it's 22nd of September. Let's say you perform a DR activity today, and then like let's say there are 10 or 15 users that got accidentally modified. You know there was a change happened in your environment, but you don't know who are the users who got changed in a particular interval. Okay, so the AD Manager Plus backup that we offer you here is an object level backup. Okay, I repeat, the backup that we offer you is an object level backup, and you can set your multiple backup frequency. Okay, let's say you can have a full backup, you can have a scheduler backup, meaning like an incremental backup. The first option, as I told you, since we do an object level backup, you get to choose the OUs that you would like to backup. And once you select the OUs, you can also select the objects and its respective attributes that you would like to backup. You want to backup your DNS, you want to backup your schema attributes. Very well. So all the objects can be backed up from this place. You can go ahead, granular down, and select the objects that you would like to backup. And then comes to the frequency. As I told you, we offer you multiple frequencies. So we are completely flexible here. So under the full backup, so we take a complete backup of your AD objects that is there in your domain controller. All right. And then we have the incremental backup. So on the incremental backup, we capture only the changes happened during the interval. Okay, we do not capture the everything here. So on the incremental backup, we only capture the information or the AD objects that got changed in the interval. Okay, and then you can set your frequency. When would you like to run the full backup and the incremental backup? Once that has been set, and then you can set to choose like how many full backups that you would like to retain here. Okay, again, when it comes to backup, yes, we want to talk about the space constraint too. So now, having the backup module on AD Manager Plus, we have a separate database with us called as Elastic Search Engine, and that's the database which we use to store all our backups. Okay, then if you ask me, can I go to the installation directory place and I can open up the Elastic Search Engine, I can see what is in the backup? Answer is no. All those are being like encrypted, so you cannot see what is inside the backup. The only place where you would like to review or view what is inside a backup is from the UI. Okay, so you can set to choose your backup retain, and then into the advanced setting, so we have something here called forced replication. If you have multiple domain controllers in your organization, so before you take the backup, you want to enable a forced replication just to make sure the attribute value remains the same for all the user, for all the AD objects, and then we try to take a backup. So the configuration is pretty straightforward. Okay, and once the configuration has been completed, click on save. Let me take you back here to the dashboard. So we get a nice intuitive UI, which will tell me how many backups are available, how many objects are currently being tracked, okay, how many user objects have been available, when is my next scheduled backup. So I could see everything right from this dashboard itself. So in terms of management, in terms of restoration, again, as I told you, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We have two set of actions, a simple restore, and we have a granular restore. So before I speak about the simple and granular restore, I'm just going to initiate one quick backup here. Okay. And then I'm just going to come back here to the restore. So the first option, what is the difference between simple restore and granular restore? Okay. So maybe what I will do is I'll try to search for a user called Nova again. Okay. Not available. Okay. Maybe I'll just cancel this here. I'll try to see if there can identify any users here. Okay, so let me pick up this OU here called as ME training. Okay, so here I have a date range here. So I can, the date range is today, and I could see there are 4 changes that's there on this particular OU called ME training. Now I can just click on these 4 changes and I can review what were the changes, meaning what is the current value of this particular attributes and what is the backup value. So the current value and the backup value is remaining the same. The reason is I just added this OU before I joined the session. I just added this OU and then I initiated a backup. Now on the backup, it has the same value and it also shows me the current value. What if there is another scenario here where you would like to know what are the backups available for this ME training OU, so that I could see the changes happened in each of the backup and then I can restore them to the previous best version. So in that case, you can go for granular restore. Okay, and here you can see there are on the same date range. I'm going to click on this filter option here and I'm going to pick up the same date range, and then I have this user, meaning the OU called ME training, and for this ME training I was able to identify there are 2 backups here, and now I can see on there were 2 changes on these backup. Like on the first change there were 4 changes to this particular OU, and then there was another change happened for there was a permission change that has occurred here. In case if you feel okay, this was the permission change that got changed on this particular OU, all that you would do is select the attribute that got changed and click on restore. That's it. Again, it is a few click method where you can review what got changed. You can compare the current value, backup value, or if you feel like I want to see all the backups available for that object that you would like to restore, you can click on the granular restore and then you can restore them back to its previous best version. Okay. What if I say if I would accidentally delete my entire OU? Okay, so now that is risk. Okay, if my entire OU, meaning like if I would delete one particular OU, the OU has sub OUs, child OUs inside that. I have users, groups, computers, contacts. Now, if I have to restore, okay, the entire OU back to its original state using the native methodology, I have to restore the parent OU first and then the child OU, again the parent OU and the child OU. So there is a process which is available on the internet. In case if you have tried it, you know how difficult it is to retrieve an object that retrieve an OU that got deleted. But here using AD Manager plus backup, so in case if there is an object that got deleted, okay, and you could see the object which got deleted would be highlighted red in color here. I'm not going to show that to you here. It's going to take time. So once the object that got deleted, click on the object and then you can restore them back to its original state. So along with, you don't have to like restore the parent or child concept here. Select that OU that got deleted and restore to its previous original state. So all the user objects which was under that OU along with your permission will get restored. you don't have to break our head in terms of restoration. Now, if there is an accidental modification or an accidental deletion in your organization, do not worry. You have a go-to place and you can review what got changed in a particular interval, review those changes. Once you review them, all right, and you can find the attributes that got changed, and you can granular down, select the attribute, and you can restore them. Or if you feel like I want to see all the backups available for that particular object in a particular interval, you can also go for a granular restore, and then you can restore the object to the original state. All right. So having a tool like AD Manager Plus, right from user provisioning till deprovisioning, can be accomplished. All right. So just to summarize like what we have covered so far, so we spoke about the reports in AD Manager Plus, which gives you the in-time information from your Active Directory from a security standpoint. We spoke about bringing in a standardization with the help of a template where we can have the accounts provisioned on my AD M365, predefining the attribute values based on my organization policy. And thirdly, we spoke about the delegation model here on AD Manager Plus, which is completely non-intrusive. You don't have to avoid unnecessary elevation of permissions on your on-prem Active Directory. Without elevating your privilege on the Active Directory, you can still make your non administrative do their day-to-day Active Directory tasks. And also we spoke about the automation, or like automating your user provisioning piece. And lastly, we spoke about the accidental modification deletion. With one click, you can back up your AD, all your AD objects. Again, with the very same click, you can identify what got changed in a particular interval, and then you can restore them back to its original state. All right. Thank you for all for like hearing me for this session. In case if you have any question, all right. So you got my email here, sujith.s@manageengine.com. And you can also shoot in all your queries here on the chat box. I'll be available for some more time, and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. All right. Thank you all again for joining the session. So before I would let you all go, I would like to run a quick poll on your screen. So please help me fill this information. We would like to know, how do you know about AD Manager Plus, and do you want any of our product specialists to reach out to you to do an evaluation? All right, I've got one more poll here that I would like to run on your screen. Okay, so it is a feedback poll. So we want to hear the feedback from you. Was the session beneficial for you? Would you like to improve anywhere else? Do let me know, and I'll be more than happy. And again, thank you all for hearing me. So I know we are living with uncertain time, so I hope we will come over this. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.